Hey there, welcome to Rusty's Sudoku stream. I am Rusty. One of the cats just jumped down off the couch. Maybe he's going to come and visit. I doubt it. I think he just heard voices and said, I'm out of here. In any case, we've got a medium puzzle today. Last one for the week. We've got a hard puzzle coming up tomorrow and Saturday. And then we get to look at the start of the next week with easy puzzles on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Medium puzzles on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Yes, Tuesday gets 2 puzzles. And then, again, hard puzzles on Friday and Saturday. You get 20 seconds at the beginning of this to grab a screenshot, see if it works, or see if you can solve it in the time it takes me, or better or worse. Leave a comment any way you can, and we'll look forward to seeing how this goes. Here we go. Oh, something wrong. So, 3, 9, 5, 4, 6, 8, 3, 9, 6, 4, 7, 2, 5, 7, 3, 4, 7, 9, 8, 9, 3, 8, 6, 9, 7. Okay, that should be the only thing. Only one now. Try it again. There we go. 20 seconds. Give it a try. See if you can solve this puzzle. I grab my munchies here and start eating, but you don't want to watch me eat. I know that. All right. That's 20 seconds. So we get an 8 here. One of these 2 will be an 8. One of these 3 is a 7. 5 possibilities there so far. 3 possibilities there. One of these 3 is a 7. Here we've got 2 possibilities for a 7. And let's see what else. 6. And one of these, well, that one's going to be a 6, because one of these 2 is going to be a 6. Up here we've got 2 possibilities for a 6. And 2 possibilities for 6 here, meaning this is a 6. One of these 2 is a 6. And onwards we go. We got a 5 here. One of these two is going to be a 5. Up here, one of these two is going to be a 5. Back down here, going to be one of these 4. I've got 4 possibilities here. 2 possibilities here and here. And that means this one's going to be a 5. Still end up with 3 possibilities here and 4 here. How about 4s? We get a 4 here. That 4 there says one of these two gets to be 4. One of these two gets to be 4. I've got 4 possibilities here. 6 possibilities here so far. 3 here, 3 here. Oh, 2 here. That one and this one. All right. Anything else? I think that's it for now. So how about 3s? 3 there, and here says one of these two is going to be a 3. Over here, one of these two is going to be a 3. I've got 3 possibilities here. 3 possibilities here. 2 possibilities here. All right, how about 2s? We got 8, 2 on the board, it looks like. All right, 4 possibilities here and here. 4 possibilities here and here. Let's see. There are 4 possibilities there and there because it's unguided. And we got the same type of a situation here and here. 6 over here, 7 over here. All right. That was 4s. How about 2 or 3s? We got a 3 here. All right. 3 possibilities here. 3 here. Oh, got those 2 marked. Those 2 marked. These 2 marked. All right. 2s. One of these 2 is going to be a 2 because we need one in the row, and everything else is filled in. So 4 possibilities for 2 here. 4 possibilities here. 4 possibilities here. And over here we've got 6 possibilities. 4 here, 4 here, and 7 possibilities here. All right, 1s. We got a 1 here. And 4 possibilities here and here. Down here we've got 4 possibilities, 4 possibilities, 5, 6, 6, and that's taking care of all the squares. How about the 9s now? All right, and we've got a 9 here, here, and here. This one and this one mean we've got 3 possibilities here. This one and this one mean I've got 2 possibilities here. This one and this one, along with this one, says that's going to be a 9. That means I've got 3 possibilities here, 3 possibilities here, and 2 here. All right, look at 8s again. See if we get anything with that this time around. We got these 2. One of these 2 is going to be an 8. That means one of these 2 is an 8. Got 4 possibilities here, 5 possibilities here. And that's it for 8s. 7s again. Now one of these 2 is a 7 now. One of these 2, that means one of these 2 is a 7. One of these 3 is a 7. One of these 3 is a 7. That's it for 7s. 6s again. 6, 6, and 6, and 6. One of these 2 is a 6. 6 here. One of these 2 is a 6. And we end up with one of these two being 6. All right, 5s. Here's a 5. There's a pair here, pair here. Let's see. Pair here, because these 2 are blocked here, these 3 are blocked there. 3 possibilities here. And it looks like 8 for 5s this time. 4s. We got the top row earmarked. 4 possibilities here. 3 possibilities here. 2 here. 4 possibilities here. And that's it. Okay, 3s again. One of these 2 is a 3. One of these 2 is a 3. Given here. One of these 3 is a 3. One of these 3 is a 3. And one of these 2 is a 3. Okay, 2s. And yeah, 2s are perpetually going to be an issue until we get 2s placed elsewhere. Everything's here could be a 2, so 4 possibilities there. Everything here, 4 possibilities here and here. All right, 1s. One more time with the 1s. Get a 1 here, and that's all we can really earmark. I got 4 possibilities here and here. 4 possibilities here and here. Unguided here, here, and here. And here. All right, so let's see if we've got anything more useful. We've got a 6-2 pair here, 5 pair, and 4 pair. 4 possibilities for 1. Those 2 are 2s, 3s. These 2 are 4s, 5s. So these 2 are 6s. So 7s are going to be one of these 3, and 1s are going to be one of these 4. All right. Let's see. 4 possibilities for 1. It's open for 2s. Possibilities for 3. 3 possibilities for 4. 2 for 5, 6. 2 for 7, 8, and 9. Not much more we can do with that. 7, 6 pair here, so we got 3 possibilities for 1. 3 possibilities for 2. And then 2 for 8. That might help somewhere else. Don't see enough help yet. All right. No guidance on 1s or 2s, other than the fact we know one of these 3 is going to be a 2, so it's actually going to be one of these 4. Likewise, 4 possibilities here. 4s, I've got 4 possibilities. 3 possibilities for 5. 6, 2 for 7, 2 for 8, and a 9. Given. Okay. 9's here, 3's here. 1's everywhere. 2's and one of these 4. And 3's are marked. 4 is given. This blocks this one from being a 5, and this one's also blocked. So I've got 4 possibilities for 5, 6, 7, 5 possibilities for 8, and these 2 for 9. We are rapidly approaching the flood fill things. All right, everything's available for 1, 2, 3, 4 corners for 4, 5, 6, 3 across the top for 7. 4 possibilities for 8. And 3 for 9. All right. Here we get 3 for 9. 2 for 8. A 7 is given. 2 possibilities for 6. A 5 is a given. 2 possibilities for 4. 3 is a given. 4 possibilities for 2. And 4 possibilities for 1. All right. Blood fill time. And what was the other one here? 7. I believe that's everything. 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8, and 9. Yep. All right, here we get 1s, 2s, we got 3s somewhere here. There are possibilities for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And let's go back to the square I skipped. 1s here. All of these could be 2s. 3 possible 3s. 4 pair possible 5s. Pair possible 6s. 7, 8, and 9. Okay. One of the things I'm looking for here is if one of these squares ends up with just a single option. Not seeing it yet. 1's in here. 2's everywhere. 3's here. 4's here. 5's, 6, 7's here. 8 and 9. All right. Over here we get 1's in these 3. 2's in these 3. Then we can figure out the 2's and the 1's over here on that row. Over here we get 4 possibilities for 1 now, and those same 4 possibilities for 2. We get 3. We get 4 possibilities for 4. And 3 possibilities for 5. 6 is given here, 7's here, 8's down here, and a 9 here. Up over here, 4 possibilities for 1. 4 possibilities for 2. 3 is a given here. 2 possibilities for 4. 5 is a given. 2 possibilities for 6. 7 is a given. 2 possibilities for 8. And we get 5 possibilities for 9. Over here, we end up with 1's everywhere. 2 here. One of these 2 is going to be a 3. We get 4 possibilities for 4. 2, 5 possibilities, a 6. 3 possibilities for 7. And it looks like 4 possibilities for 8. And 3 possibilities for 9. Over here, no guidance on 1's. 2's, we get 4 possibilities. 3's, we've got 2 possibilities already marked. 4 on the board. 5, we've got 4 possibilities for 5. 6 is 7. 5 possibilities for 8. And 2 possibilities for 9. Okay. And Does that help? Oh, hey, not a 2 here. One of these will be 2. No, it doesn't help. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 5, 5, 2, 2, 3. Crap. It would be nice if one of these was a 7, 2, but that's not happening. Because I've got a 6, 2 and a 7, 6, so a 7, 2 someplace would be really nice. Not a 4. That makes that into a 4. So not a 4 here or here. So this 3 is a 4. I can't narrow that one down much. Oh, we get a 6 standalone here. Check it. One of these is a 1. One of these is a 2. Got a 3 here already. 4. Missing 5. One of the reasons I do the checks. One of those 4 is going to be a 5. Nope, not one of these 2. So one of these 2 is going to be a 5. Okay. Well, deep subject, I know. So let's go ahead and start a punt with this one here. 2, 3, 1, and 5. That makes this into a 6, this into a 5. This becomes a 3. This becomes a 5. Not a 3. This one becomes a 2. Nope, not a 2. Well, maybe a 2. Yep, clears that before I made that assumption. One of these now is a 2, so none of these can be a 2. Pretty sure that goes for 1's 2. That makes this into an 8. This becomes not an 8. One of these are going to be 1 and 2, so not a 6. Mostly because I've also got a 6 there. Not a 1 here, so this is a 1, this is a 2. That makes this one into a 3. This one becomes not a 1. And I got a 1, 2, 2, 3. However, this is not a 1. There's a 2 there, 3 here. There was a 1 here. That's why it couldn't have been a 1. Okay, 2's and 3's are gone there. Let's see, what else can we get? Down here, we can clear that 3. And these these two 2s, making this one into a 2. This one can't be a 1, can't be a 8. So this one's going to be a 9. This one can't be a 6, couldn't be all along, so that's a 5. Not a 5 here, that's not going to be a 6 either. 7, 4. All right, 185's here. Yeah, I know it's not exactly 185's, but not all of them anyway. All right. 7, 4, 7, 4. None of these are 7 or 4. One of these proves a 7. 7, 4. One of these 3 is a 7. Don't know about a 4 yet. Still have the 4 corners. We get a 4 here. 3 possibilities here. 2 possibilities here. All right, on time, I guess. 4 here, 7 here, 4. Not a 4, not a 4. That makes this into a 7. 1, 2, pair. Not a 4 here, so that becomes a 4. These two are not 4s. One of these two is, which goes nicely with one of these two being is. All right. That looks like it might be all I can mark at the moment. 178. Oh, not a 5 up here. 17, 18, 178, 178, 18. If these 3 are to be believed, this cannot be 1 or 7. This can't be 1. We've got a 3 already here, so that makes this a 9 and this a 2. This becomes a 1 and a 2 here. And that can't be a 2 because I've got 2 up here. So let's go back to the place I was before. And we flip that 7, 4 to a 7 here, 4 here, 7, not a 7. Means one of these two is a 4, not a 5 up here. 1, 8, 7, 1, 8, no help. All right. 8, 5, 1s, 5, 1, no help. All right. Now it's actually a positive note. Let's try up here. 2 and 6. That makes this a 7, this a 6. Makes this not a 7. Also not a 7 here. Turns this into a 2. Because that's not a 2, that's a 1, that's an 8. Not an 8. I got a 7, 1 pair there. Means one of these 3 is an 8, which works out okay, I guess. It's reminiscent of other places. All right, 1 there, so not a 1 here. 1, 7, 1, 7. Not a 1 in these 3. 1's in here along with the up here. 9, 3, 9, 4. 9, 4, 7, 3, 7, 4. Okay. 1, 8, 1, 7. Don't have an 8, 7. Not a 6 here. That makes this into a 6. That's been staring at me for a long time too, hasn't it? All right. Those are already a 6. 9, 4, 9, 3, 9, 4, 7, 3. 7, 7, 1. 1, 4, 1, 4, 8. 1, 5, 8. 1, 4, 5, 8. 9, 4, 9, 3. Okay. 8, 9. Ah, only 3 in the row. Not a 3 here. 8, 5, 1, 8, 5, 1. 8, 9. Not a 9. So that's an 8. Clear that 8. Clear that 8. So now I got 1, 5 pair here. Help any? Not really yet. One, 2, 9, 1, 2, 9, 1, 2. Not a 2. Not a 2. 4, 1, 4, 1. No 2s, no 2s. That makes this a 2, this a 1. This a 2, this a 4, this a 1. All right, down here, not a 1. And not a 2, so that's a 9. Not a 9 here, not an 8. Not a 2, so that's a 4. Turns that into, can't be a 9. All right. I think we restart blood fill from the beginning. Over half an hour for this puzzle. All right. Starting with 1s. And we're just going to do it by square so we get all of the digits. I understand there are some games, or players, whatever you want to call it, that allow you to select a range of cells and earmark them all the same. Can't do that here. Limitation, such as life. All right, 2s. And everything else, well, almost everything else gets everything. Here we get some knockdowns, because this 2 says can't be in the middle row of these squares. But these, no obvious limitations. We'll come to the inobvious ones later. Okay, not a 3 there. of these two is a 3. We get one of these two. And one of these two. 4s. We get 4 possibilities here. 3 there. Given 2 here. And here. Here we've got 4 in the corners. And 2 possibilities here. 5. 3 possible 5s down here. Like 4 here. Up here we've got those 3. These 2. Given here. 4 possibilities here. Everything's available of the 5 or 6 possibilities there, and 4 possibilities here. 6s. 2 possibilities here, but this is going to be it, so that's not. And these 2 is a 6. And over here we've got one of those 2 is a 6, meaning one of these 2 is a 6. So this one's going to be a 6. One of these 2 will be a 6. 7s. I've got 3 possible 7s here. 3 possible 7s here. 2 possible 7s here. Here everything's available. Here we've got 3 possible 7s. And I believe that takes care of 7s. 8s, we've got 2 possible 8s here. That makes these 2 the possibilities there. 5 possible here. 4 possibles here. Here I've got 3 possibles for now. I seem to recall that does change. Changes right now because that's an 8, so that can't be. Alright, 9s. We got the top row filled. We got 2 possible 9s in down here. 3 here. And this becomes a 9, making 3 possible 9s here. Alright. We get a 7, no, 6, 2, 6, 1, 6, 7 pair. Nope, no help there. 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, 2 means these cannot be 1 or 2, means these cannot be 7s. Okay. These can't be 7s. They're there. Got 1, 2 possibilities here, 2 here. Okay. 5, 2, 5, 2, 6, 5, 6, 5, 2. Oh, can't be a 4 here. That makes this a 4. Means that can't be a 4. Nope. This can't be a 4. One of these 2 is a 4. Over here, still 3 possibilities for a 4. 4 possibilities here. Okay. 5, 2, 2, 3, 5, 1, 5, 1, 2, 3. 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 2, 5. 1, 2. Nope, that doesn't help me. 4, 9. think this is where I started doing punting. Maybe not quite at this point, because I think I had these two narrowed down to 6 2s, which I can't do this time. One of these two is going to be a 5. I don't have anything limiting these two for this one yet. All right. One, 5, 2, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, 2. So not a 1 or a 2 here. Makes that into an 8. That can't be an 8, 1 or a 2. Or 2 or 5. So we got a 7 4 pair here now. Okay. Ah, 1 2s can't be here. So neither of those are that. That becomes a 5. These become not a 5. This becomes not a 5. This 2 become not a 5. This becomes a 5. So not a 5 here. 1 2 is here, so not a 1 or 2 here. Not a 2 here. That makes this into a 3. Not a 3. 7 4 7 4 7 4 2. Okay. This can't be a 5, so one of these two has to be, so that can't be a 5. Besides, one of these two has to be. Okay. Doesn't solve this 5 2 6 2 6 5 2 problem. But let's see. One, two, 1, 2, 3. 1 5 5 2 1 5 2 5 or 2 3 1 2 3 5. Hmm. 7 6 8 4 2 or 8 6. Sorry. So one of these two is an 8. One of these 3 is an 8. One of these 4 is an 8. All right. Onwards with the punting. So I got an 8 6 pair here. If I go with 8 here, not an 8. I got a 4 2 4 2 7 7 4. That means this is a 3 and this is a 6. Not a 6. Not a 3. 5 2 5 2. Not a 5. That's been not a 5 for a while. Let's back that up. So, not a 5. That becomes a 2. Not a 2. Not a 2. Not a 2. That's a 3. neither 2 nor 3, that's a 6, and that's a 5. And let's see. No 5's here. No 3's here. 8 here, not a 6. This becomes a 6. Not an 8. Alright, not an 8. Not an 8. 913. Yeah, 913. 91. Only 8 in the. Oh, not an 8. Not an 8. 1515. Mix that into a 9. This becomes a 3. Okay, anything else? Oh, not a 3 here. Now I've got a 1, 2, 1, 2. That becomes a 5. Not a 5. This becomes a 3. Not a 3 here. Not a 1 or 2 here. Or those squares. That makes this into a 1. Wait a moment. Can't be a 3. That means down here, that can't be a 3. So we cleared out something that is not something that should be cleared. That's my alarm saying it's 5:45. Doesn't stop me from playing, but all right. Since that can't be an 8, let's make this a 6. That can't be a 6. All right. Okay, not a 2 or 3 here. One of these two is a 1, 5. 1, 4. Not a 6. So 6 here. Make that into an 8. Let's check that. Get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 we're looking for, 9. Okay, make that into an 8. Not an 8. Not an 8. Not an 8. 1, 5, 1, 5 makes that into a 9. And this would become a 3. But up here, neither of these can be a 3. Alright, we get to start over again. Reset the puzzle. Let's work from the 9s down. One of these two is a 9. One of these 3 is a 9. I've got one of those 3 is a 9 because that's a 9. Okay, 8s. That's going to be an 8. Meaning one of these two is an 8. One of these two is an 8. So one of these two becomes an 8. And I've got 5 possible 8s there. And 5 possible 8 here. Alright, 7s. One of these 3 is a 7. I've got 5 possibilities for a 7 here. 4 possibilities. Nope, no, 2 possibilities here. 2 possibilities here means these 3 are not 7s. 2 possibilities there. 3 possibilities here. 6s. One of these 2 is a 6. One of these two is a 6. One of these two is a 6. That makes this into a 6. And one of these two is a 6. Okay. And over here we get, this one becomes a 6. What about 5s? We get a 5 given here. One of these two is a 5. One of these two is a 5. One of these two is a 5. Go with one of these two being 5. Okay. That can't be a 5 now, so that's a 5. And over here, we end up with 3 possibilities here and 4 possibilities down here. That was the issue I had here. I had not spotted that none of these 3 could be a 5, and obviously nothing in this one. Okay, 4s. So 3 possible 4s here. 2 possibles here. 2 possible, nope, a 4 here. So 2 possible 4s here. Neither of those two. Got 3 there already. One of these 2 is a 4. And then I've got 4 in the corners here. 3s. One of these 2 is a 3. One of these 2 is a 3. One of these 2 is a 3. Here we've got a 3 here. One of these 3 is a 3. And one of these 2 is a 3. How about 2s? Our bugaboo. Not a 2 there. What was I putting in 2s for? 3. Yeah, those two can be 3s, but not 2s. One of them can't be anyway. All right. Everything here gets to be a possible 2. Here we've got 4 possibilities. I'm thinking it's going to be one of these two, not these two, but I was putting in 2s where I was trying to tag 3s. All right. That's probably the case here. We can add those. Here we get 2s in the corners. And because of the 6s here, we get to clear out those 2 up here. And these 2 are supposed to be 3s along with 2s. And that looks to be everything. So now we add in the 1s. All right. And we've got 1, 8, and 2 in these 3, so 1 and 2 not here or here. Also not here, not the 2 here. And that turns this into a standalone 5, validating 1 and 2 here. 3, 4, 6, 7. 8, 9. So 5 here. And that can't be a 5. That can't be a 5. That becomes a 5. This becomes a 3. This becomes a 2. This becomes a 5. Not a 3 down here. There we go. Okay, 7, 4, etc. Not a 5 here. 1s and 2s here, so not here. 7, 6, that looks right. Let's see. 7, 4 pair here, so not a 4 here. Turns that into a 4. There's a 4 there. So I get a 6, 2, 3, 2, 3, 6, 8, 8, 2. Okay. 1, 2 pair here, so not a 1 or 2 here or here. Turns that into an 8, not an 8. Okay, so not an 8 here or here. So now I've got 3 possible 8s here. 2 possibles here. This one's going to be a 6, so that's an 8, a 2, 3 here. Not a 3 here. Not a... Oh, that's not a 2. That's a 1, and that becomes a 5. Not a 5 here. Neither of those become 1s, so that's a 2 and a 3 here. This becomes a 2 and a 1 here. This becomes a 3. We can verify none of the others affected by that are going to be a 3. That means this one becomes a 3. Didn't get marked earlier. Or it got marked as a 2 by accident. Alright. But yeah, that says none of these can be a 3. This says none of these can be a 3, so that's 3. Alright. I've run that into the ground. This can't be a 2, so that's a 1. That's a 2. Not a 2, not a 2. And that 2 said that these couldn't be 2 either. 2's either. Turns this into a 6. Get a 1, 9 pair here now. Not a 2. One of these 2 is going to be a 5. Not a 5. Not an 8. So that becomes a 9. Not a 9 here. 1, 5 pair. 2 here. And that breaks things. All right. What can I do? All right, let's assume this is a 3. So that's not. We get 7, 4 pair in the row, in the column, so not a 4. 1, 2 here, so that becomes a 5. 2, not a 2, not a 2, not a 2. 3, 6, 5. 6, 8. 1, 4. 2. Not a 2, not a 2, 2. That means the error is even earlier, at least in theory. Neither of these can be a 2. This one is a 3. This is a 3. 3, not 6. So not a 3 here, 3 here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Not a 5. That's consistent here. Neither 1 or 2 here or here. 8 here. Cleaning up. Okay. Think that's supposed to be a 9. But 9 doesn't look right. 9's going to be one of these two. One of these two. One of these two. One of these 3. On the other hand, I do need a 3 here. That's what I was putting there. That's right. So not a 3. That becomes a 3. Not a 3. This becomes a 3. One of these is a 9. One of these is a 9. I make this into a 9, not a 9. Not a 5. So not a 1 or 2. Not a 1 or a 2. Not an 8. That's an 8. That means that's not a 8. It's also not a 5, so that's a 1. And none of these are 1s. Not a 1 there. That's a 2. That's a 1. That's a 2. That's a 1. So that breaks a 2 here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Over an hour. Reset the puzzle. This is my longest medium puzzle in a very long time. At least in a stream. this is one supposed to be a 3. We'll see. Okay, 4s. Right. Nope, still have 4s to do. Five. Okay. Seconds. I believe this one's going to end up being a 7, but for now, we'll mark all of these. And comes an 8, and these 2 is an 8, one of these 3 is an 8, and these 2, 5 possibles down here, and 4 possibles here, and 3 possible 9s there, 3 there, because that becomes a 9, and 2 possible 9s here. All right. Now these 2 are possible 5s, so this can't be. Neither can this. That makes this into a 5. Not a 5 in these 2. And these 2 is a 5. That's 5. One of these 2 is a 5. We only have 3 possibilities here. May or may not be viable or valid. Now, 6262, so not a 2 in either of these. Oh, not a 5 here or here. Anything else where I don't get to have a 5 anymore? Not yet. That's the only 4 here, so these 2 are not 4s. Means one of these 2 is a 4, one's a 7, so not a 1, 2, or 8. 1, 2, or 5. So one of these 2 is a 5, so neither of these get to be a 5. down here, 8s and 5. So not an 8 in either of these spots. That makes this one into an 8. Okay. 8 here and here. One of these two is an 8. Nope, no help. Still have 4 possibilities here, plus 3 here. All right. I've been getting wrapped down here with the 3 here. Let's try this as a 3. That turns that into a 3, clears that. That becomes a 3, clears that. So now I got a 1, 2, so we can clear the 1s and the 2s out of there. 1, 5, 2, 3, 2, 5. Oh, not a 3. A 2, so that's a 5 and a 1. This becomes a 5. We have a 7, 4 pair here. 1, 2, 6, 3. Not a 5 here, so that becomes a 5. Not a 5 there, that becomes a 5. Still have the 1, 2 pair here. 1, 2, 1, 2, turning this into a 9. So not a 9 here or here. This is a 9 now, not a 9. 9 there. And this becomes a 3 and a 6 here. Not a 6 as a result on either of those places. This becomes a 3. That breaks that 7-4 combination there. All right. That means this becomes, that means this would become a 7 and a 4. Breaks this one. All right. So back to here where it's not going to be a 3. And we'll try flipping that to the other possibility for a 3. See if we get any useful information there. Turn that into a 3. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 5, 2. Do that 3. So a few possibilities up here. Neither of these get to be 3, so that is. So that can't be, so that is. Turns that into a 5, a 2. And that's break it. No, this is a 5. So that becomes a 5 and a 1. 2 here, not a 5. 2 here, not a 2 in either of those. Also not a 5 here, so that's a 1. We can clear the 1s and 2s here. Clear the 7s here. This becomes a 5. 1 and 2, 2. We haven't broken the 7-4 here, but I can see that, oh, no, still a possibility of a 4 down there. So let's continue on. See if we get anything else useful. Not a 1 here or here, so 9 and 2. Not a 2. not a 2. Get a 2 here, so yes, one of these two is a 2, but not this one, so that's a 2. Not a 2, not a 2. One of these two is a 2. This becomes a 1, a 4, not a 4, not a 4. That turns this into a 7, 4, 7, and 2. That's a different mix than I was getting before. This becomes a 6, not a 6. This is an 8. This is a 4. 1 here. So not 1 is here, here, or here, or here. Not a 4 here, here. Not an 8 here or here. Only not a 2 here. Also not a 2 here. So that's an 8, not an 8, not an 8, not an 8. Turns that into an 8. Not a 6, so 1919 turns that into a 5, this into a 1. Not a 1. Not a 1. Oh, also not a 1, so that's a 9, and this is a 1. And this is now a 6. 5 here. That turns that into a 9, 7, and 4. So 7, 6, 7, 6, 6, 2, 6, 2. Not a 7, a 1. 7, 4 pair here, but not a 4 here because of the one down there. That's a 4 now. Not a 7 here, so that's a 6 and a 7 here. 6 and a 2 here. Not a 2, not a 1. 8. 1, and we finish with a 2. Boy, 74 minutes, 38 seconds. Now we're in 14 minutes to solve this. That's a lot longer than I usually would do. How did you do? Obviously, based on that last run through, it could have been done a lot sooner, but it is what it is. Thanks for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.